Welcome to Joseph.ONTRACC's videos and live streams when it comes to helping you to understand the basics of life and take you to where you want to go. And we're going to talk today about how to do the 80-hour work week when you're underemployed or unemployed, because we want you to succeed massively long term. And so I want you to win. I want you to have hope. I want you to get a job as soon as possible, and preferably 3 jobs or 4 jobs, whatever it takes in order for you to find your favorite jobs that you can actually keep for the long term while you're developing your financial future and while you're building your businesses. Okay, so what you're going to need is an understanding that you need volume. Okay, know what it is that you want, don't care about what other people think, and then do so much volume that it becomes unreasonable for you to not get what it is that you want. So, what is volume when you're unemployed? Volume is how many applications you actually give out. The higher quality the application and how it looks like, the more powerful that application is going to be. Okay? This cat, you gotta absolutely love it. Absolutely freaking out while I'm actually doing a live stream. There you go. All right. So, what you'll need is your resume and your cover letter, and hopefully it's high quality. And what I mean by high quality is that it's just simple to read, simple to scan. It should take 5 to 10 seconds for an employer to scan the document, the A4 sheet of paper on one piece of paper that you bring and you give out to 100 managers every single day. If you do that, you will absolutely crush it. You will have a job most probably by the end of the week. Okay, the first week that you try this, you're going to be able to get a job, most likely. And if you don't, then you've got some things to tweak, and that's what I'm sharing with you inside of this video. Okay, the 80-hour work week. You wake up, let's say it's Monday morning, all right? What did you do the night before? You made sure you had the proper attire. You want to be presentable. You want to look good, because this is going to be massive amounts of first impressions. You're going to talk to lots and lots of people, and every single person that you talk to, there's a first impression to decide and determine whether it's actually going to be a win-win situation long-term or not, right? When you're talking to these managers, recognize their mindset, okay? And I'll get back to the Monday morning scenario. You want to understand that they also woke up on that Monday morning, and most of the employers have what they need in terms of workers, okay? Because it's something that when there's a crisis, they do everything in their power in order for them to get enough employment to service enough customers, right? And that is a crisis when you have a shortage of staff and you can't even open your store. Like, do you know that's the biggest problem that a manager or an employer has if he can't find enough people? Now, so what is he going to do? He's going to try to find someone that can work for him as fast as possible. But most people have that kind of covered, and so they're not probably going to be fired up when you come and show up and give them an application on a piece of paper, right? But there's a percentage of employers that will be fired up, that will be excited, and that will give you the time of the day. And even if it's just 1 out of 20, even if it's just 1 out of 100, you see the statistics? 1 out of 100 is 1% of people are going to say, yeah, let's sit down and let's have a conversation and see where it goes from there, right? If it's 1 out of 20, we're talking 5 people that are going to sit down with you today because you gave out 100 applications. It's a numbers game. This is sales. This is self-employment. This is business. But you're just doing it before you even have a job. So you're getting fantastic at business now, sales, in advance of your workplace situation. And the goal is to continue to get better at sales and business long term, despite you having a job. Most people that are unemployed, they tap into this business owner energy without even thinking about the fact that they're actually being business owners. And then they get a job and they stop being business owners. No, you should have just kept going. You should have kept going with 100 applications a day. Maybe it's not applications. Maybe it is. Maybe you want a better job. Maybe the job that you've got actually doesn't tingle your fancy. And so you should keep on doing 100 applications on your time off. And maybe not 100. Maybe you have to decrease it to 50, or maybe you have to decrease it to 20. But you need to do 20 every single day that you have availability in your time schedule. And you should always have availability in your time schedule. It takes about, how long does it take to do 20 applications? Do you have to do them face to face at that moment in time? Okay, that's for a different video, different story. But you have to understand how that works. Okay, so you got the mindset of the manager. He is desperate. Okay, there are numbers of managers out there that are desperate to get help in their business. And the way that they think is that they've got time, attention, and money. Actually, they've got a shortage of all three, right? And they don't want to invest their time, attention, and money into something that's going to waste their time or not give them a return. So think about it from their perspective. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket, or time and attention out of your pocket, right? And so when they talk to you, you're either an asset or you're a liability. Actually, in the beginning, you're completely a liability. You're not an asset because they don't trust you. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you want. And so as a result, you are a nuisance. And so most people are going to be negative when you are asking and requesting for their time and attention. And you just have to know that and be okay with that, because that's life. But everyone is willing to give you 30 seconds to find out if there's a win-win situation that can happen here. Most managers will think that you might want to buy something. Most employees will think the same. So they're going to give you 30 seconds of their time to find out what you're after, and then they're going to reject you the vast majority of the time, which is fantastic because we're only looking for the 1% or the 5%. So now that we understand that mindset, remember and remind yourself continuously that there's a small percentage of those managers that would absolutely love it if you showed up on their doorstep and said, I want to work for you. I'll do anything. I'll, like, what would you like for me to do? These are my skill sets, things like that. Okay. They would love for you to come in there and say that, and they're going to give you an interview on the spot and they're going to hire you. Okay. That's the visualization. So now that we understand this, let's go back to the Monday morning scenario. The manager has woken up and the only thing that's going inside of his mind is, man, we have so many customers. We have so many things to do, and I don't have capacity. My employees don't have capacity, and I need a person that I can trust. I need someone that can lock up. I need someone that can open. I need someone to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. Okay, there are managers in every single city, town, township, whatever. Someone is thinking that thought, and you're the solution. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to wake up. You're going to make yourself presentable. You're going to have your resume and your cover letter ready, and it needs to look presentable. It needs to look good. And a manager needs to be able to scan that piece of paper within 5 to 10 seconds and know that this could work. That's it. That's the only thing you need. And now you talk to a new potential employer every 6 minutes. Yeah, every 6 minutes. Yes, you need 10 applications given out every single hour of, preferably every single day. But we're just going to do this for 10 hours of the day. That's it. Okay? Can you do 10 hours of giving out 100 applications every single day until you have 3 jobs? Just do that. How are things going to look like if you do that? You've got a 6-minute slot. You go into a shop, a restaurant, a vendor, whatever it is, a bank, like any place that serves customers, you want to go in there. Okay? Even if they're like doing freight, or like I said, banking, or hairdressers, or whatever it is that you were like, this wouldn't make any sense for me to work here. Do it if it only takes 6 minutes. Okay? Don't judge, because you never know what type of menial task, like pouring coffee or taking out the trash or doing dishes or whatever it is that they might need someone for. There's an easy to do task that AI hasn't replaced us with yet. They need someone that they can trust that can do it for them. If you're not trustworthy, become trustworthy. Okay? It's not acceptable for you to lie, cheat, and steal. You need to understand that that's not how the world works. If you want to be trusted, you're going to get a good reputation. And as a result, you're going to get tons of opportunities. If you are the opposite, then you're going to get less and less and less opportunity until no one wants to work with you and you're absolutely and utterly screwed and have to build everything from scratch and people have to forgive you, right? So, no, be an integral and honest person from the get-go and things are going to work out long term. Okay. So, what do? You give out the application and there's two options. One, there's an employee there or there's a manager there. If the manager is there, fantastic. You will go through that in a second. If the employee is there, then you say, is the manager there? Right? Obviously, you have a smile on your face and you go up there and you say, hi, is the manager there? Now they're going to say either yes or no. That's it. There's no other option. And the yes, then it's going to be, okay, they're either going to go and get the manager or they're going to say he's busy. And if he's busy, that's as if he's not here because they're going to say, oh, can I take a message or whatever it is. That's not going to work if you do that. Then you just basically say, no problem, I'm going to come back. Okay, if they say that he's not here or he's busy, then you say, no problem. When can I come back when I know he's available? Boom. And you come back at that time. Or do you have his email or contact details so that I can, actually chat with him? And the vast majority of the time, they're not going to give you out the confidential information, right? But sometimes they actually will. And you need to make use of that and assume that they're going to give you that information, right? Assume the close. Because then you have an option. You want to create as many options when it comes to managers as possible. And you don't really know if the manager wants you before you've actually spoken to the manager. There's going to be employees who say no, we're all set, we're all good, we don't need to employ anyone. What do they know? You think that the manager actually talks to the employee every single day about their managerial and employee needs? Especially if that employee sucks? No, okay? Because they're going to probably want to replace that employee. So understand that you can become the best employee for any employer on planet Earth simply because there's a shortage for honest, hardworking, and loyal people. There's a shortage. Wherever there's a shortage, there's a demand, right? And so if there's a demand for you, you're going to be employed this week. Because it's the biggest problem on planet Earth that we don't have honest, hardworking people. Now, most people are good people, but they just care less when they're at work. They care about their free time and what they do in their free time and what they do with their friends and family and strangers. But when they're at work, they're just they don't want to do stuff. And they I don't want to be here type thing, right? And so you're going to get the negative energy perspective of employees sometimes. And you've got to manage to get over it and just understand that hurt people. And it's okay that they struggle and that they're giving you a hard time, right? Okay, so you now have given them the application to the manager. And there's one thing that the employee or the manager are going to say, and it's going to happen 80% of the time, and you got to be ready for it. And it is, apply online. Okay? Now, as in this type of scenario, do we like to receive that comment? Yes. Okay? It's fantastic because it gives us the opportunity to suggest that maybe they should sit down with us and have an interview immediately so that you can be hired immediately. That's the vision, remember? And so when they say, oh, you need to apply online. Okay, let's say that the manager is saying it because we don't care if the employee is saying it because the same thing with the employees, we're going to come back another time when the manager's here. No problem. Okay, with the manager, when he says it, however, remember that, no, this is not only for people in their 20s. Thank you for asking, Donatos. This is for anyone. You can be 65 years old and this is going to work for you. You can be a woman and this is going to work for you. It doesn't matter. Someone has a job for someone who is honest, hardworking, and willing to do things that other people are not willing to do. Hopefully, you're not in the situation when you're 65 years old because then it's like you haven't built up a massive reputation of being hardworking and loyal. And it's like starting from scratch at that point is kind of difficult. Hopefully you have kids that you can support and help in their business and encourage them. And yeah, obviously, I'm talking to people in their 20s and in their 30s, but you can apply this throughout your entire life if you have to start from scratch. This is basically starting from scratch mode. Because you don't want to be doing this, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years into your career. But if you are at this situation where you have to, that just means you weren't taught the basics of life. And that's what this channel is for. I'm helping you to understand the basics of life so that you can set up a strong foundation for you to win long term. And the cool part is that with the basics of life, it only takes you a few years' time in order for you to actually create absolute massive amounts of abundance and freedom in your life. It takes a few short years. But because of the bad foundation that you received in your childhood and your teenage years and in your early 20s from whoever was around you, it might take you 5, 10, 20 years to understand that, I don't understand the basics of life. And I need to actually do something about that. Exactly. Welcome. This is the right place for you. So the next step in this equation is you tell the employer or the manager when he says you need to apply online, you say, fantastic. Can I go and apply online over here? They say yes. You put them on the yes track. Okay. And then you say, by the way, after I'm done with the interview or after I'm done with the application online, do you mind having an interview with me right away? Because, I don't want you to have to go through all of that paperwork of talking to hundreds and hundreds of people to find out that one person that you want to hire. I'll be your best employee anyway, right? You can shorten it a little bit, make it short and sweet. But in general, that's the kind of thinking and the mindset that I want you to have when you talk to the manager. And as long as you smile every single time and just suggest things, you don't have a massive demand, right? You're just being friendly and open and requesting something that they might say yes to. And if they're actually looking for people, they might actually say yes, because the fact that you're offering this shows that you are skilled, shows that you think differently, shows that you're unique, and that, we could actually work with, guys like that who actually does this and thinks like this. Amazing. This is good. And if they say no, okay, if they're not interested and they don't want to talk to you, they might say that you need to come back at a time when it's less busy. Fantastic. And you can ask for that as well. But if they say no, or, wait a week, I'll call you, then you say, no problem. Is it okay if I can get 10 copies of this application, because I'm going to be applying to all of these places around here today? That shows ambition. That shows that you will be in demand in the future. If you're not in demand right now from them, like, we don't need to hire anyone. The fact that you are saying these words, one, it gets you free ink and paper, for your application so that you can apply for 100 jobs a day with no problems. And you want them to remember you and not just, you want them to have your information ready and available whenever they think of you and they start calling you, right? But what else it does is that it helps you to connect with the manager, because he's probably going to say, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then he takes 10 copies and then he looks extra at your application. He just scanned it for 5 seconds and has no idea who you are. But if he brings that copy with him back into the back room, he'll actually scan it more and he'll read through what's actually there. Or, best case scenario, he'll invite you into the back to do those copies, and then you pretty much have the job. That's like a basic casual interview that makes it so that you guys are pretty much friends if you're putting on a smile and you have that type of mindset and vibe and energy. But you have to have that friendly energy and the friendly vibe, okay? Part of this is to read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay, you'll find it for free online if you just look. It's one of the classic books of all time. And if you don't understand this book, you need to read it ASAP. It's not an excuse to not do the 100 applications. It is an additional thing that you need to do on top of the 100 applications. Okay, that you do when everyone's asleep, or that you do when it's dark outside and everything's closed. That you do. You get what I'm saying? You need to get good at people skills. You need to understand how people work. And the better you become at people skills, the more you'll understand how to sell, because you're learning how to sell right now. And the more you know how to sell, you now have a skill set that tons of employers are looking for. Right? If you actually do this, think about this, but you're absolutely horrible at sales and you're absolutely horrible at applying for jobs, but you do the 80-hour work week and you apply for 100. Obviously, maybe if you're horrible at it, you're not going to be able to do 100 a day. But if you just did 100 a day, let's just use that as a kind of a thinking process. You know what's going to happen if you didn't get a job within a year? You know the personal progress you would have made inside of your brain of like determination, perseverance, hope, attitude, like all of these great, fantastic attributes of a human being are all going to be yours within months of you doing this process, weeks of you doing this process. Even after one day, you'll notice a difference in who you are because you did something that you never ever do, right? And so that is the beauty of this concept, is that it challenges you to your core. It challenges your thinking. It challenges how you speak to people, and you reflect about why did that person say that? And how can I improve what I said back to them, right? The personal growth journey of this 1 year of unemployment, if that is what you're going through, as long as you do this, is going to be insane. If you don't apply this and you're just unemployed and you're just waiting for your paycheck from the government, you're not going to have the personal growth journey and you're not going to be an improved potential business owner for the future. If you do this every single day for a full year, you now are a business owner. You might never need a job ever again because you've mastered how to talk to people. It's freaking awesome to think about. Okay? 80 hours times 50 weeks is 4,000 hours. 4,000 hours. Let's look at this one for a second. You see this? Okay? 4,000 hours. That's like twice as really good. That's very close to amazing. Okay? 15 months from now, you can be in the camp of, I'm an amazing applier of jobs, or I'm an amazing salesperson, I'm an amazing business owner, because all of those are exactly the same. It's the same thing. So recognizing that and understanding that makes this process much more exciting, because very often we're just short-sighted of thinking, I just need a job and I can't get a job and it's so difficult to get a job, and after I get a job, oh, finally I'll be able to stop this process. No, this is a lifelong process of talking to strangers, of talking to people, and helping them to improve their lives. Managers want employees that are trustworthy and hardworking. You're that person. So you're solving a problem for them. In other words, changing their life forever from having access to you, who's an amazing person. If you're not an amazing person, then become one step at a time, by doing this process, right? Okay, so let's continue. The first thing managers would ask is experience, especially in retail. Fantastic. You can say you're a fast learner. If you have no experience talking to people, then you say you're a fast learner. And are you a fast learner? We hope you are. If you're not a fast learner, you have to be a fast learner when they start teaching you on the job, okay? Or you could say, I'm willing to work for free to gain that experience. Fantastic. Oh, you want me to gain experience? Could you tell me a YouTube channel that tells me how to do that thing better, right? Or do you guys have videos of how that I can study at home and master before I come back for training? Like, you can say things that will help them to understand that you will gain the experience way faster than anyone else because you're willing to do this on your own free time, right? Completely different story than what other normal human beings, would do. It's because you're different. And so when they ask for experience, then if you don't have any, then you just say you're a fast learner and that you would like to study this at home on YouTube, because everything's on YouTube. Okay. I know, like, you need someone to clean your ice cream machine or ice trays or whatever it is, right? I'm just giving you an example. Or do you need someone that is able to make good coffee? Okay, I have no experience with it, but I'll go and study it for 10 hours if that's what you want me to do. And if you study that for 10 hours back home on YouTube, you'll have the experience now. At least you'll have theory, and then they have to give you the experience, right? But it's just, the key is just to have someone say yes to you, right? All right. The next part, we're doing every 6 minutes, right? you most probably will have a job by the end of the week. That's it. But if you don't, keep going for multiple months because it will make you into a powerful business owner. So I want to share this aspect with you because very often people like, well, but everything's closed, right? What do you do when everything's closed? Well, you need to make sure that the 11 and a half hours a day, it's actually the 10 hours, right? You want to spend 10 hours a day, 6 every single hour, which means that there's six, well, it's actually 60. No, what am I talking about? It's 10 every single hour. Times 10 hours is 100 applications. It's one application every 6 minutes. That's what it is. And so as you apply that principle, you need to apply it when managers are actually at work, right? And they're usually only at work between the hours of 10 to 3, pretty much. But if you can go early and be there from 8 to 6 p.m., hopefully places are open, right? There are places open at 8 in the morning. And if you go there at 8 in the morning when no one else is there, then it's not busy. And if it's not busy, then the manager does have time to sit down and talk to you. You see how all of this kind of correlates together. That the most effective, the faster return on investment that you're going to get from this process is by talking to people face to face and giving them your CV and application. Like that's it. Okay? But what do you do when things are beginning to close down and you're just wasting time not talking to anyone at like 7 p.m. in the evening? If you've given out to all of the places that are open, like restaurants, etc., and all of them are telling you the manager's not here. I mean, he left for the day at 4 p.m. You begin now to understand, okay, managers are only there during the daytime, right? Because they want to have time with their friends and family in the evenings when everyone else is off work, right? And the weekends. So what do you do in the evenings and the weekends in order for you to progress your path faster? Well, one idea is to read How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? Read Think and Grow Rich. Like read Think Magic of Thinking Big, like books. I wouldn't recommend more than 30 minutes a day, absolute maximum, but read the classics. Absolute classics, right? You can watch one of my videos every single day too. I highly recommend it because you'll get a different attitude and you're spending time with me and you can chat with me in the chat. Like imagine how powerful that is, right? Okay. And next thing is that you can do some form of application online, okay? I personally am okay with that as long as you don't make that your main way of getting jobs. Cuz it's so it takes such a long time, okay? They require tests and they require this and it's because they have to try and filter out this person, right? They have so many different automatic filters these days, and you need to learn how that works before you start applying massively online. Like, go on the internet, go on YouTube, and ask how do employers filter out applications easily? Because now you begin to think like an employer, and if you know one and understand what the enemy, okay, the people that you want to have hire you, how they think, you'll understand how to how to pivot the situation so that it works in your favor. Okay, so you figure that stuff out, and you have an extra hour in the evening to complete the 80-hour work week, 10 hours of applying face to face, 30 minutes to read to improve your skill set and people skills and mindset and being positive and having a great attitude and learning fast, right? Then you've got 1 hour to apply for as many online jobs as possible. And with that 1 hour, what I recommend is that you find remote jobs. That's what I would recommend. And remote jobs are fantastic because it allows you, if you have to go to a low-cost country, right? Where you can pay less in taxes and, and where the situation becomes so much easier for you to live because you've got a remote job. Preferably you have 2 remote jobs because then if one fires you, you have the second one. But you need to do that with the understanding that your employer actually knows about it. Because I'm totally against the having 4 jobs online and you just use AI and like you're just ruining remote work for everyone when you lie about working full time for someone and you're only putting in 2 hours or whatever it is. I think I think it's important that you provide massive return on investment to your employer. And if you kind of steal from your employer like that, I don't think that's cool. So, but understand that remote jobs are also the most competitive ones because everyone wants them because, it's awesome to be able to work from home, right? But if you can find that, that's awesome. And if not, try to do it based on location, where you actually live. You don't want to be hired by someone that's an hour away from where you live because it's not going to be sustainable long term. But if they pay extremely well, then and it's based on your skill set, then of course, do that. But if not, be very selective about which online jobs you apply for because every single application takes more than 6 minutes, usually when it's online. Okay. So, this is how you do the 80-hour work week as an unemployed, as an underemployed. I personally think you should have 3 jobs. A lot of people don't share my sentiment. But the reason why I think that's the best thing to do is because you develop a work ethic. You develop uh, pain tolerance, right? Where you are capable of doing more than you thought you could, right? You got to do this wisely in the sense that you get enough sleep, you don't drive a lot, right? Because if you do that, you don't get enough sleep and you do drive a lot, you could actually put yourself and other people's lives in jeopardy, right? And we don't want that. So you need to be wise about applying the 80-hour work week, but it's just your free time that's going to be altered. And very often we are not willing to strip away the fat, strip away the extra stuff and fluff that we have going on in our lives that will never produce a long-term return on investment. It's like overwatching YouTube, okay? I don't mind listening to my YouTube videos as you go out and about or transport yourself or you 2x speed it and listen to what I have to say. I think that's awesome. Um but to continuously watch news or watch negative stuff or watch stuff that's not going to be helpful for you, I'd say get rid of it. Get rid of as much as possible so that you can fit first the 11 and a half hours every single day to do what needs to get done. Uh just a last thing on the weekend, right? You can try to go out and apply for jobs during the weekend, but managers are most probably not going to be there. So what do? You apply online, okay? And you do the 100 applications online and try to do one every 6 minutes. Because if you do that on Saturdays and Sundays, fantastic. So making it really, really simple for you guys to understand, just look at this one more time. I absolutely love this chart. I'm going to probably use it for the rest of my life. It's taught my kids uh, some very valuable lessons at a very early age. Can you imagine a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and an 11-year-old seeing these numbers and understanding that, whoa, I can get good at anything that I want to get good at? Yeah, that is true. Anything that you want to master, it's just a matter of time, right? If I put in 20,000 hours before the age of 18 into basketball, even if I am 5'9", right? I would become one of the best ever at my height. Does it mean that I can play in the NBA? Maybe not. But does it mean that I can play for the Harlem Globetrotters? Probably. Can I play in a professional league somewhere where they're willing to pay me a living wage to play basketball? Absolutely. At 5'9" and you've put in 20,000 hours of playing basketball, even though you're short and not talented, will give you what you want. It's becoming harder and harder to enter into the NBA, but it's also becoming more and more leagues around the world are beginning to pay players that are really, really good at what they do in order for them to, excel. And so I think I'm just giving you guys this as an example, okay? But and I think it was a pretty good example because it's extremely hard to be talented enough to play in the NBA. So even if you could do 20,000 hours before the age of 18 to actually make that work, and obviously you would need a parent that's really, really strict in order for that to actually pan out, while at the same time extremely loving so that you continue to listen to that parent even during your rebellion years, right? So, but understand this concept of you can master any skill. And yes, to get to 20,000 hours, but we don't even need 20,000 hours. We need 10,000 hours in order for you to become one of the best in the world. Okay? 20,000 hours to become one of the best ever in history. Very different, amount of hours. Okay? But I want you to think about this for a second that will help you as a parent in the future. Kids spend 12 years of their lives basically having full-time jobs, with vacations, but a full-time job going to school. And it ends up being approximately, and I've made the calculations, 20,000 hours of being in school. How atrocious is that, right? This is why I'm making this channel, to stop that, to make it so that parents and also adults understand that the education system is absolutely horrific. And it doesn't teach you basic life skills. Like, could you imagine hearing about this, what I taught you guys today, when you're 25 or 30 years old and you've never made money in your life properly, right? Like, that's a problem, right? Kids should be learning this when they're when teenagers, when they're 15, 16 years old. If they understand this, I mean, they need to hear it a long time before. But in terms of applying for jobs, around 13, 14, 15, they should be understanding that, I can get actually really good money right now as a teenager if I just work full time. And I can work full time if I just do the principles that I learned in this video. So if you know any teenagers, if you know any people in their 20s that struggle with unemployment, send them this video. This channel is going to change their lives forever. But understand, 20,000 hours kids are spending on regular schooling before the age of 18. So if they had instead mastered 2 skills, just 2 skills, life skills, that would take them to wherever they wanted to go. And there's really just 2 things. It's people skills and money skills. You just understand these 2 concepts between the age of 16 and 18. Obviously, it's never going to happen. I've never seen anyone that, puts in 20,000 hours into that type of stuff. But even if they did 2,000 hours or 5,000 hours of each of those 2 before they turn 18, you think they're going to dominate life? I think so. I absolutely think so. There's another image that I think is pretty cool, and just wanted to share that with you, perhaps. There you go. So this one is kind of similar chart as well. Just keep it simple. The only thing you need to know is that it says practice days per week here. And I'm a consistency channel, so I'll teach you to always do 7 days a week. 7 days a week, no exception, no rest days. You should be doing the same thing every single day, 7 days a week. And that's why it's very important to choose something that you actually appreciate and like doing. But if you did 7 days a week and you put in 8 hours a day of practice, within 3.5 years, approximately, you would get to 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. Okay. So, absolutely love chatting with you guys, and I love your guys's enthusiasm when I do come and share with you guys in the comment section and in the chat. It's crazy what you could do instead of school. My school was tough. Yeah. And it's usually the toughest part of school is that you're not learning much. I mean, I learned a lot in school, but it was just a repetition of the absolute basics that I already knew. How to read, how to write, how to calculate math in my head. Like, great, but I already knew how to do that in first and second grade. So everything else I learned throughout the years from school was just complete and utter waste. And that's my passion for life, is to share the basics of life with people who don't understand the basics of life. And that's going to be the curriculum of this channel. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, you know how to do that. You just DM me at Joseph.ONTRACC. and it's $299 a month for daily text coaching with me. Uh, you guys, Donatas and Justin, you know how that works. It's become a little bit more expensive now. But it is what needs to happen in order for people to understand the basics. If you understand the basics, you can get your financial freedom within just a few short periods, a short period of time. I like to say I have a 100% hit rate when it comes to bringing people their financial freedom faster than a college degree. Faster than a college degree is 4 years in America. It's 3 years in Norway, and I've had okay, so we'll do the U.S. degree, right? 100% hit rate. There's one person ever that's been with me for 4+ years, and he's financially free, and he's making probably around 30K a month at this point in profits from his business. And so just think about that for a second. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give in. You can create an amazing, fantastic future for yourself, but it will require the right people around you. And so grateful for you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.